I got 2 pages and a quarter of Jesus Christ Superstar. Second episode of our film. What are we? Oh, we should go. I'm going to label these episodes as like a separate series. Not like the Lindley Listen. It'll be the Lindley Listen - movie review. Something like that. So we could do all sorts of movies. Especially the Book of Mormon trilogy. One. This one will be, well, yeah, but I would probably put it in a broader spectrum. So if we ever review any other movies in the future,
a bad word.
We can add to it.
Yeah,
the Jesus Christ Trinity.
Ew. Jesus Christ Trinity.
The Last Temptation of Christ, Jesus Christ Superstar, and the Passion of Christ. Yeah, that's what it's called. I don't know. Exactly. We haven't watched the non-heretical one yet. Okay, this is episode 2 then, or at least, it would be episode 2.
Yeah, it is.
We watched Jesus Christ Superstar. We went into it not really knowing if it was a heretical film. We kind of went into it thinking that it was going to be, and it absolutely was. So
it's insane.
It made Dillon super angry, and I want to talk to him about it. So I got about a page, 2 pages, and a quarter or so, or third. I'd probably make that a third. Yeah,
here, you get the numbers on it?
See? It's a third.
Well,
that's a third.
Yeah.
Here,
close enough.
If you want to see audience, whoever's watching on YouTube.
I was just going to say that. That is literally 2/5, dude. Come on.
So it's right between.
Wait, no, that's like almost half.
Well, it's less than a quarter.
It's less than
I would say
a third.
No, it's more than a third, isn't it?
It's definitely less than a third. It's probably 2/5.
2/7.
2/7.
No shot. It's 2/7.
It's definitely 2/7.
3/7.
No.
3/7. I think 3/7 is more than a third.
Anyway, so Dillon got super mad, so that's kind of funny. So we could talk about it.
Yeah.
Or maybe I skipped a page on accident. That's so unfortunate.
Dude, no way. You have a big blank. You could draw another Angry Bird.
I have a huge blank, yeah, in between my notes.
That's a video you got to put up.
No.
I recorded.
I didn't even draw that.
It was funny. So at Chi Alpha, I saw that on the left page, Joe had an Angry Bird, and on the right page was like notes. But the video I recorded made it seem like I was like, saw the Angry Bird, and then I panned up to Joe, like his face, and it looked like he was so deep in thought at this Angry Bird, because you couldn't see the notes in the video. He was absolutely looking at the notes, but like it looked like he was going, yeah.
So basically, going into this movie, I had no idea what to expect.
Me neither, dude.
I expected like the Chosen kind of vibe, where it's more of a, there's actors playing their roles and they're immersing you in the story of Jesus Christ. But instead, what we open up to is this broken temple, and all of a sudden we see what is at first thought a car.
Then
it turns into a bus.
Yeah.
A bus is driving through the desert towards this tore down temple, and from there a ton of hippies.
Yeah.
Pile out of it.
Hussies.
And singing. They start singing.
Yeah.
And they pull a huge cross off of the top of the bus, and they're all celebrating.
Your mic's kind of twisted. It's not vertical. There we go, dude. Shame on. That was the only time I think I laughed. Was when I saw
it's supposed to be a comedy,
yeah,
right?
It's supposed to be a funny movie. I don't know what people were laughing at in the 70s, but I think you had to be on shrooms to think that movie was funny.
I didn't laugh once.
I laughed.
We
laughed
at
the
irony.
bus.
I laughed in the absurdity of it, not because of anything they said was funny. In fact, I don't know if there was actually a single joke in that movie.
No, it was I think Herod's song.
That was awful.
It was like, I can see where they were trying to be funny.
Okay, so this movie has not a single line of dialogue that
like
is not
regular
in
speaking.
Song.
Well, technically, yeah. I think while this Jesus man, this Mormon Jesus looking fella, blonde hair, blue eye, Aryan Jesus,
yeah, perfect Jesus,
crazy line. While he was on the cross, he said the lines, the buzzwords of Jesus, as probably described by the screenwriter. What was his name? Jewison, which is insane. Nathan Jewison or something. Jeremy. Isn't that what's his name?
Oh, yeah, Jeremy, yeah.
You want to whip that out? what was it, Nathan Jewison?
I forgot that's his name.
It was, so if you look up Jesus Christ Superstar
Jeremy's in the room with us to
film.
clarify. He's looking this up for us.
Freaking my UI isn't gonna work tonight.
Yeah. Jesus Christ Superstar film, you have to make sure that's in there, otherwise it'll give you. This was originally a musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber. I don't think he was part of the process for the making of the movie, because Andrew Lloyd Webber made Cats, and I think Cats, the musical, was good. He also did.
What are you looking for?
Who made, like, director of the movie?
You need to clarify right now. The Cats, the movie, though, was
Terrible.
okay. Yeah, cool.
The musical, I've heard, like, people liked Cats the musical.
Which people probably liked the musical of Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah, probably,
movie-
maybe, but also probably still heretical because it was written by a non-believer. What?
Norman Jewison.
Norman, not Nathan. Anyway, I want to say quickly, I found that in any world that is not like written by a believer lacks God. Like it replicates the mind of the writer, the world that you create, you know? So like in my Bible study back west, the leader of it, Nathan, excellent man. Every time he did a D&D, he only did homebrews. You know what a homebrew is? It's where instead of doing like traditional, like you can buy story playthroughs for D&D. Like they sell books that are like
a pre-made campaign.
Yeah. Homebrew is your own like homemade campaign, you know. So he would always make it with God in it. Like he didn't make it godless. He made the world like it wasn't using the same words, but it was definitely God, you know.
Cool.
Which is so cool. He's like, yeah, I'm not about that, you know, non-God life, because that would be absurd. Life without God, absurdity. You know, there's no reason to live if there is no life, you know. Anyway, in this movie, given that Andrew Lloyd Webber was not a believer, and I doubt Norman Jewison was either, this world absolutely lacks God. Just in every way. And it lacks the resurrection at the end. It ends in the crucifixion. Same with the last temptation of Christ.
I think
Ended
they
up.
implied the resurrection.
No.
Because there
think
was like
that
a little man there walking, and he had long hair and a robe, and then sheep followed after him. So it's like the shepherd is walking.
I don't think so. I don't remember
No,
that.
there could be a
Maybe I
stretch.
wasn't looking. I got so pissed
There was a little
I
man
walked
with
away at one
sheep
point.
at the end, walking below the cross as the sun rised.
I think that was... I don't know. I don't really care. But that's not what the resurrection would have looked like.
No, yeah, that's definitely heretical. However, nor did it say anything about the after 3 days kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that could be implying that he rose again, even at the end of that movie. Who knows?
Doubtful, because you have to believe in the resurrection in order to write about it, you know, I guess. You have to believe in that to... Like, you are changed when you believe in the resurrection. Just, that's the way it is. And when you don't believe in the resurrection, you write that. So.
One thing that we did laugh at during the movie, which is my third note, is I'm so confused. We were laughing because basically the movie has Jesus in it, yet with no regard to the source material.
Yeah.
So we were laughing that we've read the Bible and we know the story of Jesus, and we don't know what's happening in the movie that's about Jesus.
Yeah. I read the source material. This ain't it, man.
This ain't it.
I don't get it.
So we were chuckling about
This
that.
ain't a good book. I was... just
What?
keep going, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, Judas, best voice in the entire movie. And
Absolutely.
They're all singing. Judas, so funny that the bad guy's a black man. I really wanted it to be racially charged just because that'd be so funny, like a 70s racist movie.
Yeah.
But there were other black people there that were not bad guys, so I don't think that was the case.
No.
So, although that would have been
The whole
hilarious.
At first, Joe was like, no way, that's Satan. Satan's black. We all know this.
Okay, the accusations go crazy. That was in jest. Not only that, but he was, based off of the song, it sounded like it would have aligned with Satan. Not only that, but he was wearing red. So
Yeah, red equals Satan. We know this.
yeah,
Not the blood of Christ.
Satan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I scratched out Satan and wrote Judas because we later learned that it was Judas.
I knew it was Judas from the start. He later learned that it was Judas.
So true. So true.
Very true. I knew it from the start. I did, so I kind of cheated. I already knew going into this that there was some sort of glorification of Judas by the end of the film. So I'm like, that's got to be Judas already talking like he's the main character, you know? So, yeah. Anyway. Keep going. Continue.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, then eventually you figured out, or how basically the entire movie feels that it's told by the bad guy's side of the story, if you will.
That's
Judas'
what it felt
side
like.
of the story, Pharisees' kind of viewpoint on Jesus. Every single time we saw Jesus, it was kind of from the perspective of the Pharisees or Judas kind of conspiring in the background
Yeah.
and being angry that Jesus was being praised and worshipped, and how they were trying to call him out for being dangerous. And yeah, and they're all doing this in just awful song that I'm not a musical kind of guy. I had no clue that this was a musical going into it. So it was just kind of the cherry on top.
I thought there was going to be more dialogue.
Yeah, just
like
regular
regular
dialogue.
talking,
There was
'cause
none.
Most, like The Greatest Showman, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's music and there's talking.
Yeah, right. There's breaks in between the song.
Yeah, dude,
This
there
was
was no
an hour
breaks.
and 40 minutes of just pure singing, and singing about heresy as well.
Yeah, from a musician's perspective, that being me, I was so... all of the singing was overdubbed. That's just the way it goes back then, you know. There's no way they were going to record them singing perfectly into a mic, right?
Yeah.
Back then on a set. So they just pretend to sing and then they do an overdub, whatever. So the entire movie was an overdub, literally. They could have made it silent and they were just like, you know, like, anyway. All the songs were boring. Like, they annoyed me for how boring they were. Like, it wasn't even the lyrics that got me for a lot of it. It was just, like, your singing voice is not lining up with the groove at all. It's very sing-songy, floppy, no rhythm at all. It hurt. Like, that was from three perspectives I found. That whole thing hurt me. From a musician standpoint, Christian standpoint, and comedic standpoint. All three of I was bored and angry the whole time. Like, after 20 minutes, I'm like, can it be over? Like, I wanted to put it on 2x speed. By the time we got to 1 hour, I was like, can we just end it?
Didn't help too that the subtitles were off.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that
funny.
as if I wasn't irritated enough.
Like, that's not a fault of the movie, but
Like,
hilarious.
Amazon Prime could not get their act together. The whole time, it was like the captions were a whole verse
Caption
off.
Yeah.
They said a line 3 seconds
So
later.
funny.
And it's all singing. So, like, they're doing a verse and they're saying all these lyrics. And it's like, oh, that's what they said, you know?
It's like, yeah. You can't be singing along with them, that's for sure.
Hey, I know. Ain't no karaoke, dude. That was bad karaoke. This is rough.
I'm going to write better next time.
Okay. The Passion is a lot slower. It's 2 hours.
And it's not heresy, so there's probably less to write.
Yeah. A lot less to be. Also, you probably won't be writing during the Passion because it's subtitles. They spoke in Aramaic the whole time.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane.
They learned Aramaic for the movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Joe's not taking notes next time. You literally can't. You will miss notes.
I mean, I could just talk about Bible stuff and I'll get it right then, hopefully. Because
Yeah.
it's not heretical.
And since we'll be...
So who needs notes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The notes for the heretical stuff, just because, like, what do they mean by this?
So they, the entire movie, because they just got a ton of hippies just jumped out of the bus, basically they were dressed up in, like, semi-modern,
I thought that was...
old-timey
I
garb.
think that was the only thing that kind of... That was, like, it was a hint at trying to be funny, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like...
Yeah, the Pharisees, they had these huge black chef hats
Yeah, that...
with their chest exposed and a black cape.
They looked insane. Those
Yeah.
hats were the hats were about the funniest thing about the Pharisees.
Some of the Roman guards had MP40s. I think that's what they're called, right? The guns.
They had guns. Yeah,
They had guns.
2 dudes in the back. There were a line of them. They all had spears, and then in the back they're holding like big machine
Which
guns.
is funny. That is funny.
A little bit. I think the attempt at humor, not being executed by the lack of like dialogue or because music
It just confused me more than anything.
Yeah,
in the watch.
they just tried to fit it in. It wasn't very
It was more in the background.
like if you know the movie Airplane.
No.
Rats. Airplane
I
is
mean, 2001.
it's a old slapstick comedy that's like, there's a bunch of comedy going on at all times, but there's dialogue. If they were singing the whole time, you would not have found anything in it funny. I don't think any of the lyrics were funny in the movie. It was just like, who wrote these lines? Like, I don't get what you're just saying wrong things. Like it's all wrong. And then like when Jesus cleansed the temple, he was knocking over, like there was a table with guns on it.
Yeah,
Like
right.
those,
That was funny. Yeah.
the postcard spinner stand thing. There was just a bunch of modern stuff in there that he was knocking over, along with melons.
Crazy
and
scene
sheep.
though.
It was it was crazy. Crazy to look at, but was he singing or was he just flipping tables and grunting? I don't remember if he was singing.
I don't think Jesus was singing in the moment.
Maybe
I think it was the end of the song. They were all singing and being like, "Come by whatever you want,
yeah.
every pleasure," all that jazz.
Yeah.
And then Jesus ruins the song and starts flipping stuff over.
Yeah. And he says, my temple is not...
Yeah, I quoted some of that somewhere on my, if I can read it or find it. I quoted a few things that Jesus says. I want to say it's before the temple. Let me just find the temple stuff since we're on it. Oh yeah, my pages are messed up. It was before Pilate, right?
Yeah. Cleansing the temple? Absolutely, that's before Pilate.
Maybe I didn't quote it.
Maybe not. Can I see?
If I can't find it, you
I have a
can't.
keen eye.
No shot.
All right. I think that...
So let me just. Okay.
He said, my temple is supposed to be a house of prayer, not a den of thieves. Just almost biblical, but it's my Father's house.
Yeah.
That's
right.
what he says, not
my temple. Yeah.
Even though it is, but it's, my Father's house.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he says in the Bible.
So
The source material.
Jesus himself, I would argue, is probably the most heretical part of this movie. I mean, obviously, that's kind of the whole gospel.
Yeah,
but
the rest of it is grossly misinterpretation of other people.
Yeah.
Everything about Jesus was...
Every single word he says is getting everything wrong.
Yeah, damn near close.
I think there's one line on the cross. That makes sense? There was one line. I forget what it was. I didn't
forgive
write
them,
it down
Father.
because I was like, oh, that was right.
Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do.
Yeah, that
whatever.
was the one line
They
that
don't
you
know what
said
they're
that
doing.
didn't raise my eyebrow.
It's all
Even the last one, he goes, I
He
quoted
didn't
it.
say it is finished or it is accomplished. He just
No.
didn't.
He even said, God, why have you forgotten me instead of
Forsaken me. But like,
Which I feel
they're
like
hippies. They don't know what forsaken means. Like, they've never heard of that in their lives.
What is the difference there? I'd like to learn.
Um,
Forsaken feels more accusatory than forgotten.
yeah, I guess.
I don't think God forgot about Jesus.
That's actually a really interesting topic that you ought to delve into at some point. Maybe we can do that together.
What do you mean?
there-
Just like
there
the
are-
meaning of
There are
words?
times in the Bible where it says God remembered.
Mm.
And it's interesting because it's like, what is he? Oh, which is no, God would not go, oh.
I mean, yeah, it never says God forgot and then remembered.
It does say, I think it might refer to, like, in regard to our transgressions, our sins, he forgets them.
Yeah, right. That's probably
But I think
I'm
it's
assuming
more
that's
that
more
he doesn't
symbolic.
hold them against us,
yeah,
right? In the same way that we would forget
He
the
sees
way
past
someone,
them in the most literal sense.
right? Like, because as humans, we forget in order to move past things. God, using our words, forget, simply can look past.
It humanizes it so we can understand what he
Yeah,
means by
I
it.
think so.
Because he would have the ability to know all those things and still not look at you
Absolutely.
through those things.
Yeah.
He'd be able to separate that from you in his judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which we would be more incapable of, at least in our current state. Super cool.
I'm absolutely tired and lightheaded from that film.
That really wiped you out, dude.
It wiped me out.
That's so funny.
I was like, one thing that always gets me is when crucifixion is done wrong, and when Jesus, like, you are gonna love the Passion. I'm telling you.
I hope so, dude.
It's incredible. It's the closest you'll get to
The only thing
an
I've seen
accurate
so far
representation
is
of the crucifixion.
Sorry to interrupt. That was my bad.
Oh,
I haven't even seen The Chosen, so my only depictions of Christ now on screen have been heretical
Bad.
films that are awful.
yeah,
Two
just
awful
bad.
watches that I never want to watch again. So cool. So
Yeah, awesome, great. So
one thing that Jesus said was, "There will always be poor, pathetically struggling." I quoted that. That was funny.
yeah, I guess.
That's so awful. So
What was interesting was that whole part was
he
Judas
said it as like an
saying,
excuse.
"Why don't we give the money?" You know, because like, that was kind of a topic in the Bible. Was why are you spending all this money on oil to put on a man when you could use that money to help the poor? And the thing is it's actually the reason for the anointing was part of the sacrifice process. The way you prepare a lamb for slaughter is you anoint it with oil and then walk it through the city and then kill it. You know? Sprinkle the blood on the altar, which were all things that happened to Jesus in that order.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
So he was anointed with oil. He was paraded through the city. And then he was killed. He was paraded, I think, for 3 days. So if Palm Sunday was him walking in Sunday.
I love the 3 being used.
Yeah.
The completeness and
Maybe
life.
it's not 3 days. It might be. I don't know. I forgot
His
the exact.
ministry was 3 years. He was dead for 3 days. You know.
I've always found that interesting. It wasn't that he was not dead for 3 days, but
Well,
he
right.
rose on the 3rd day.
Well, death not meaning that he just ceased to exist.
No. In that he died on Friday, he was dead on Saturday, and he rose again on Sunday. So
Oh.
right, it wasn't 3 full days
Oh yeah.
that he was
interesting.
dead. It would have been maybe like 2. But it's that on the 3rd day he rose again.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense. That's cool.
Yeah. So
I never even thought of like how that timeline would have looked. I just go 3 days. All right.
yeah.
That's cool.
Technically, he was in the temple or in the grave or the tomb for 3 days. You know, Friday night, Saturday, a bit of Sunday, he was out. You know, but whatever. Anyway,
The Pharisees were often seen on these. Oh, what do you call that? Scaffolding.
yeah, I think that was just because.
That's just because.
I don't think that was symbolic at all.
No. I mean,
Yeah.
they were above, but it's probably.
But okay,
more
if
credit
you
to the
want
movie
to
than-
try to add symbolism to it, they made a tower out of scaffolding to stand on above the people,
Yeah.
easily knocked over.
So they're standing on something that's, yeah, like you're saying,
Yeah.
easily to be knocked over. They find themselves to be above others.
See, actually, I think Norman Jewison had something going on with this film.
He really thought that one.
You know what? Full opinion changed. The music was great and not terrible at all. The only part of the music that I liked was the guitar parts in Judas's songs. Every time Judas shows up, it's like a. That was the most fun part, and then I guess him singing was pretty good. But what he was singing about, not very good. So, as a musician, as a drummer for the past decade, and a lover of the craft, that movie sucked. Music was bad. If you're not a musician, you would have been like, you know.
Oh, I found the temple thing in my notes. Says my temple. Yeah. And then right after that, though, there's a scene where Jesus is walking through some sort of canyon, and a ton of people are crying out. They're like, "Look at my empty purse, I'm poor."
Oh yeah,
and
all the people crying
they're
out
all
to him
diseased and
to
in
ask
pain
him.
or whatever.
Yeah.
He's walking through, and everybody starts crowding around him, and Jesus gets flustered and starts saying, "Leave me alone. There's too many of you."
Yeah, I can't heal you all in
I
one
can't heal
big
you
swoop.
all. So that's straight heresy for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
saying
limiting God in that.
yeah,
sense,
imagine
limiting
Jesus saying I can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Ever.
No shot,
Ha.
dude.
Leave me alone.
The only thing he can't is sin, because he's the perfect lamb, baby. Hey. Was that weird? Cool.
That was weird. Kringe. Oh man.
Mary Magdalene called him just a man. There was a lot of scenes. Even Jesus Christ questions his own manhood in the sense of that he's not God. He's like, but I am just a man. There's basically just like the Last Temptation of Christ. The two movies depict Jesus as just a man.
Yeah.
Right? No God aspect to him whatsoever. He is a man chosen by God.
Yeah. When
which
the
is
Bible
heretical.
is so explicit about
Jesus
how,
Christ himself is so explicit that he is God
right.
in the Bible.
I feel like you saying Jesus Christ is so explicit is the most incorrect way to say that.
Really? You think so?
Explicit is
That's definitely a right way of saying that. That's a fair
Jesus
use of that word.
explicitly states that he is God. He is not explicit that he is God. Whatever. Grammar. Anyway. He states that he is God, and it states in the Bible that he knew no sin. And that's entirely avoided. In the Last Temptation, he was a sinner and talks about how he was a sinner. In this movie, he uses, he pins himself above other people in a way that's the whole reason why this movie gets the name for itself for worshiping Judas or glorifying him by the end is because Jesus saying there will always be poor people and Judas being like, what? But you won't always have me around. Is Judas was in the right. Jesus is an egotistical fellow that deserves to die.
Do movies nowadays ever show people killing themselves on screen?
I think so.
I don't know if I've ever actually seen a hanging on screen. People hang themselves on movies, but it's not actually watching them do the whole thing in a oneer. You know,
no.
you have the full picture of what's going on. It's
They
usually
recorded him do the full thing, throw the
full
rope
thing.
around the tree, just go.
And then you watch him full. You see his head to toe.
I was like, was that a one take? Did they have to record that at the very end? Because it looked like it was fully him dying. They recorded this long shot that was of him falling and dying. I was like, and the camera's just backing away slowly. He totally could have been no way a dummy looks exactly like a dude,
Most movies that I've seen, basically what happens is once they jump or put the stool aside, it cuts to a different scene where it's their shadow or just over their head kind of things, or just the rope swinging. You never actually see it.
Yeah, I guess.
So crazy that Jesus Christ Superstar has a full-blown hanging.
Yeah, dude.
Crazy, dude.
Actually crazy. Wasn't even that tragic.
Peter denying Christ 3 times.
Yeah.
Was kind of. I feel like they just did that just cause it wasn't really.
It was mentioned
obviously
in the Last
it wasn't
Supper.
to be accurate.
The two things mentioned in the Last
the
Supper.
The rooster didn't crow.
Yeah, no rooster crowed. You're right.
It definitely wasn't the right
was
people. I believe the Bible kind of describes a little bit of the situation on who was questioning him.
Yeah.
And they got it all wrong, at least according to my memory.
What do you mean?
Who he was talking to? It was just 3 random hippies on the sand.
Yeah. It was just random bystanders.
I thought one of them was a Roman.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think that. As in in the movie or in the book?
I guess it doesn't matter too much.
Yeah. What matters is that they did the betrayal at night, and then Peter denies him 3 times in the same night, but it was daytime in the recording, in the movie,
Yeah.
because he's betrayed at night, and then it just cuts to daytime. It's tonight, weren't you with him tonight? And it's it's noon, how do you mess that up?
And then Pilate. Have we talked about Pilate yet?
No, I don't think so.
So Pilate, the first time we see him, he just straight up insults Jesus as much as he can. Insults him.
Technically, the first time we saw him, there was like a mentioning of Pilate existing for some reason. Like he was up on a rock, and he was given
really?
the leaflet thing, and the singers just go Pilate.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I don't know. It was random.
A little ceremonious.
It's just out of nowhere. I don't remember what the point of
Okay,
it
yeah.
was. But then
Most
later,
of the movie's just out of nowhere.
yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. The first time we see Pilate, though, he's super antagonist. In the Bible, there is one moment where Pilate and Jesus interact. Right?
Mm.
Would you concur? Is that right or wrong?
I don't remember.
I don't
didn't
remember.
count.
But in the movie, it's twice. He goes to him the first time, and he's antagonizing Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe that was... No, because that was the trial. That was Jesus' trial.
There was a lot of stuff in between, though, between the actual trial and the first time that Pilate was just bad-mouthing Jesus.
Yeah. It was... that was like the beating. It was being badmouthed by Pilate.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't, like, beaten at all. And
Yeah,
he was
dude.
just kind of paraded around. He
He
went to Herod, and
was
Herod sung a
whipped.
song.
He was whipped 12 times, I think, something like that.
30...
times? Well, Pilate counted
I think it was 39 times.
39, and then he was thrown in a hole, a sand hole.
I think the hole was before the whipping.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know
It
either.
was like it was so bizarre and out of order.
It was confusing. That's what it was.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
So actually, like for some reason, the abuse that Jesus went through included being walked around a town, visiting different people. He went to Herod. Herod put on a show. He sung. That was weird. I think the most weird attempt at a funny song, I think, because he was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. King Herod was
It's like King Herod.
quite the sight to behold. If you ever want to watch a heretical movie,
It was just
I
like
highly
a
recommend
playboy.
just skipping to the Herod.
Skip to about an hour 20 in. 20 minutes left in the film.
He's there.
Yeah, there's he. There is he.
King Herod's an incel, according to this movie. It's pretty rad.
An incel? Dude
Yeah.
had women surrounding him, dude. What do you mean an incel?
Yeah, but if you know, you know.
I don't know.
Okay. So Jesus then, while he's in the Garden of, it's called just I've never been.
Gethsemane?
Geth-Sem-In-Ee?
Yeah.
While he's in the Garden of Geth-Sem-In-Ee, and he's kind of asking God to take the cup from his hand, right? So then he doesn't have to drink from it. This movie has a crazy song where Jesus is singing in the Garden of
He's
Gethsemane.
like hiking on rocks.
Yeah, and he's screaming at the sky. And he's kind of saying things as though he is a man. I have quoted some things. If I could read it, hold on, give me a...
Joe was reading a book.
He says stuff like, before I change my mind, asking God to...
That was the most heretical line in
I
the
think that
entire
was-
movie.
That was the last line of the song. He
Yeah,
tied
before
it
I
all
change
off
my
with,
mind.
Before I... God, don't
Just kill me now before I change my mind.
beat me and kill me before I change my mind.
Yeah, I was like... that, like, the whole movie, like, is heresy. But that before I change my mind is the most, like... That's worse than anything else in the movie.
He says, I'm not as sure as when we started. To drink up the cup.
Like,
He describes it as a cup of poison, which I suppose it is.
kinda.
Kinda. But it's also...
But the cup is... Jeez. The cup is God's wrath,
Yeah.
Like,
So
when
it's
it says...
kind of an accurate,
I guess
accurate
that's
description.
bowls. In Revelation, it talks about bowls.
Yeah.
But
Of
I
the
think it
7
is the
bowls.
cup. That's like God's wrath,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's what was... If every single human sin was put upon Jesus.
Yeah, from the beginning to the end.
Takes
Every
some,
sin.
Yeah. Take some wrath. So that's pretty cool.
That would kill me, dude.
I have it written before this on my notes. That's right. So they did communion.
Well, they
did
I
it
guess
at the garden, right?
I don't know if you can call it communion.
I don't.
That's not.
He goes, "This bread could be my body."
That was so weird. This could be, and then I guess at the end of the song he said it is.
Yeah, he did.
But like
he said, "This bread could be my body. This is my blood. You drink this my body." Some crazy lyrics.
It's so dumb. Written by a full retard. Like, there's source material that has the right lines, and you just went, what did he say?
Then Judas stamps off
like
in anger. Jesus comes back up to him, offering him a blanket. They have some sort of song dispute. I don't remember what that was about. Judas stomps off after.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus was like, so in the Bible, Jesus says, he says, one of you will betray me, and everyone at the table goes, not I, surely not I, Lord. And Judas says, surely not I, Rabbi or Master, depending on what version. He doesn't say Lord. That was something Will and I discovered while we were reading different versions, and it says every other disciple that was like, surely it couldn't be me, says Lord, but Judas says Rabbi or Master. It's very different, you know. One is human, like fully only human, and the rest and the others, Lord is very much you are more than just man, you know.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, the Bible. And Jesus says, so you say, you know, it would better, you know, you can say that. But he never says directly to anyone that is Judas that is going to betray him. You know, Judas just leaves, right, to go and betray him. In the movie, though, there's a whole song where Judas comes up and he's like, you wanted me to kill you.
That's another thing between both of the movies.
Yeah.
How Judas is portrayed as taking a sacrifice for the team kind of thing to betray Jesus. How he's mad at Jesus because he wanted him to betray him, and now his name will be tarnished.
Yes,
for the
that's
rest
why
of...
he kills himself. He killed himself because he didn't want his name to be tarnished, because it was like, I only did what Jesus told me to do. Right? Jesus told me to kill him, and now I'm getting bad-mouthed? No. Judas chose in his own heart to kill Jesus because he was not the political Messiah that he had in mind.
Yeah.
I love it when man shits on God. That's just so terrible.
And then there's a song after that when they're all going to sleep, where the next morning they wake up and Judas is there with the Romans, I think. But before then, they all sing... when we wait, what does that say?
What's the buzz?
I don't know.
What's happening? Like when they woke up?
It's before then. So the night when they're singing, they say, we can write the Gospels they can remember us when we die. Yeah. And it's like that's their motive for writing the Gospels.
Yeah,
so they can
that would have been my motive.
That's
witness the resurrection of a man and go,
we're going to write the Gospels not for Jesus or
I need them to remember me, Matthew. You know.
I want to be remembered. Write me down.
Write me down.
Write me down in the Gospel.
Dude, I don't care if I'm
misses the whole point of the Gospel entirely.
This movie hurt me more than The Last Temptation of Christ. Like, seriously, The Last Temptation is like... if you Google translated one thing far too many times.
Yeah.
This was, you read the Bible and went, I can do better.
This was negligence.
Just so bad. Like, I was so much more subdued by this film.
It was much more blunt with its heresy, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, both were very... maybe that's a wrong... I don't know how else to say it, because there is something to it that's much more... maybe it's part of the comedic effect. Where it feels more mockery than maybe...
yeah, it does feel like a mockery.
I mean, the other one is absolutely
the other one is
also,
a misinterpretation and trying to tell a story based off of a misinterpretation that's supposed to be beautiful. This was just like mocking.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Romans wearing purple wife beaters and holding and camo pants with like military boots. You know, that was interesting.
Jesus saying that he has no kingdom, but he may have a kingdom.
Somewhere far out there.
He said that to Pilate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I may have a kingdom somewhere. When Pilate was insulting him, like, "Where's your kingdom?" And Jesus is like, "I don't have one." I'm like, that's...
Which in the Bible, I specifically remember when, Jesus said, "My kingdom is not of this world,"
Yeah.
And Pilate's like, "Oh, great. So it's not, I don't have to worry about you politically then."
There you go.
Yeah. And so he's like, "This man is innocent." Everyone's like, "We want Barabbas." So he's like, I can't decide. They want Barabbas. I think you should be set free, but I can't. This is out of my hands.
Then Pilate made a giant showing where he
Biblically.
washed the blood. He washed Jesus' blood off of his hands.
I think he
blaming Jesus for his own suicidal tendencies.
Yeah.
Than the crowd's choice to kill him. Which
Yeah.
is in the Bible. Pilate washes his hands of it and says, "This is your guys's."
Yeah, they were like, "We want to kill him
choice.
because he
Pilate.
got caught."
Yeah.
Not like because he didn't like. Everyone expected a political messiah.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't going to deliver that. There was a whole song in there that was about, "You're going to defeat Rome," and then Jesus at the end says, "None of you get it."
Yeah.
Which is the closest thing to, I guess, biblical that they got, but also at the same time, just not. Obviously, they weren't singing it.
And so in the movie, they made it seem as though Jesus made the decision to die, not even the crowd. So it was more of a Pilate being, you suicidal fiend, let me wash my hand of your choice and your own death.
You chose this.
Yeah,
It's like,
I am innocent here. You choose your own death.
Jesus was silent on his own, right? Throughout the process, in the Bible. He spoke when spoken to, I guess. Only when the question was necessary.
The Bible or the movie?
The Bible.
Yeah.
Maybe he spoke a lot.
He talked a bit more.
Sang a lot.
Saying, "My kingdom is, I might have one." And it's like, no, it's Jesus says, or he asks if he's a king, and he's like, "You have said so,"
It's almost like they were trying to replicate the mysticism of Jesus, but miss the mark on who Jesus actually is.
Absolutely, yeah. If you're not a believer, you cannot write anything not heretical about Jesus. You just can't. It's going to be wrong. Andrew Lloyd Webber's not a believer. I know for a fact Norman Jewison is not a believer, because that was a mockery of God.
No one who loves Christ would make something like that.
Yeah. Norm Macdonald has a take. You know Norm Macdonald?
I've heard of him.
He's my favorite comedian. He says that you cannot do an impersonation of someone that you don't like.
Yeah.
Because he's a comedian. He's talking about like when SNL does Trump impersonations. It's like you can't do a good impersonation unless you like them, So in the same way, you can't do a good representation of Christ if you don't like him. It's like he did a few good things. He had some good ideas. Yeah, along with the radical take that he claimed to be God and called Pharisees broods of vipers, Good man. Had some cool things to say, I guess. And then he died.
So that's pretty much it then. Then Judas descends from the sky, accuses Jesus of all sorts of stuff, especially his bad plan.
I don't
how
know
he
when
feels
that, like,
offended
what
by
the, it was before he was crucified.
Judas descended from the sky.
Yeah, before he was crucified. For
Yeah,
sure.
I thought that was, I feel like if anything, that would have been afterward, like as though Jesus was in hell and Judas is like, "Look what you did." I don't know what the point of that whole sequence was, because Judas is dead at that point.
Yeah, no idea.
Was Jesus hallucinating something? Because he walks out and he's wearing a big white robe and he goes like this.
With the tassels.
Then as they're
No, that was Judas had the tassels.
Oh yeah.
Jesus, it was like a
Jesus had like a full.
yeah, it was like wings. Yeah.
Then as they were hammering Jesus onto the cross, Jesus was silent. But then again, it is a very play-like movie.
I feel
So
like
it makes
every
sense that he
swing of the
wouldn't actually-
hammer was supposed to be, ow! But no, he was just like,
Yeah, he was silent. Very recognizable. You know. Then he says, "My God, why have you forgotten me instead of forsaken me?" Basically, every single line is just slightly off, to the point where it loses its meaning or even
yeah.
has a completely different, wrong interpretation.
You know how in Genesis, Satan twisted God's words to tempt Eve?
the best lie is a half truth.
Yeah.
Then all the hippies got back in their bus and went home
Oh, yeah.
to live happily ever after.
The ending of the film features everyone going home except for the actor that played Jesus, I don't think.
Yeah, he stayed
Judas
on the
got
cross.
on the bus. But there was just, I think he was still up there. by the
Mary
end.
Magdalene and Judas got on the
Wait, so
bus.
it's just a bunch of hippies role playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you told that was the most important part. The only funny part from the film was this, like, the very beginning, where there's a camera panning around this like ancient scenery and all this stuff, and then a bus flies in, like a full of hippies, and they all fly out, and they're like, getting all suited up into their role playing garb to make this awful film. The only funny part was that there was a bus at the beginning, because it reminded me of Blazing Saddles. When they're riding off into the sunset and then they get out and get into a Cadillac and drive off into the sunset. Yeah, you know that part, right? Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of Monty Python.
Yeah.
Holy Grail, where like
At the very end, they're
they were LARPing the whole time.
Yeah.
Killed this professor, so they all get arrested.
Yeah. The only thing, but it was short-lived how much I laughed at that, because immediately afterward it's like, there's a cross up there. Okay. I thought at the very least it was going to be like, or I hoped that it would be something Blazing Saddles related. Like, make it funny. No, it's just a bunch of hippies. It's exposition. This is a play.
What a burden it was to watch that. And what a burden was lifted that once the movie ended.
I always saw like, half of it, and I was like,
I would have put it on two. If you ever watch that movie, watch it on 2x speed and go, that's way better at 2x speed. Everything that sucks is better at 2x speed. It's way funnier.
Well,
I don't think that movie could get funnier at 2x speed though. I feel like it couldn't get funnier at two. It would just be it would just be the worst. What's half of an hour 40? That's 150 minutes. It's the worst 50 minutes.
52.5 minutes.
Yeah.
What's your final words?
My final words. I dislike when people smear my God across the earth. Or try to. You can't really smear God, but you can try to.
That wasn't God that we watched.
Yeah, no, that was nothing. They took this, the word of the Lord, and went, I can do better. I can make this funny. The least funny thing. Like, I bet you could try to make it funny.
There are moments.
Isn't Life of Brian?
Life of Brian is also awful.
It is?
It's a mockery of Jesus.
Oh, another movie.
Life of... we can get...
It is a little funnier.
Well, it's Monty Python, so it's gonna be funnier. Life of Brian is basically the alternate form of the Gospels, where like they mistakenly pick this guy Brian instead of Jesus,
Oh,
and it's like, I don't know. I imagine that would be way funnier.
we'd have to watch that.
Yeah, because that's like
Add it
that's
to the list.
that's fully different than taking the Gospels and going, no, I'll do it from memory.
There are some pretty funny moments in Life of Brian.
Yeah, no,
It's a mockery of Christ, though.
I suppose. Like anything that involves Jesus that isn't biblically accurate could be. But there is going to be a funnier version. That movie wasn't funny. It was unfunny.
Well, if you read the Gospels, Jesus has a lot of moments where you're like, that was really funny, the way he did that.
I guess.
But it's not necessarily
It's not a comedy. Yeah.
It's not a comedy. It's like Jesus just humbled them in the funniest way possible.
Yeah, I guess. Jesus was a comedian, guys. Confirmed.
Okay.
I want to hear what you had to say, William.
Well, he called James and John the sons of thunder.
Yeah.
They were nuts, right? They're
Yeah, I guess.
crazy, brash
Yeah.
individuals. So, yeah, Jesus definitely had a sense of humor, is my point.
I feel like that could have been about, like, Greek mythology, maybe, sort of thing. Not trying to, like, make it biblical at all, but, like, Jesus being like, they were crazy. So, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. How do you feel about the film?
I never want to watch it again. Ever.
Absolutely.
I'm glad it's over.
Yeah.
How do I feel about it? I hope nobody ever watches it, but I know that it made a profit. Smash it in the box office.
No.
Didn't it make?
It
like
made
20
21 million.
Yeah.
It's not that much in movie money.
Yeah, but you said that it was.
The
still a good
Passion
profit.
made 600 million.
Oh, okay. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So that's good. If you're a new believer, I don't think you'd be swayed. That movie wouldn't sway you at all. If you're not a believer, I don't think you'd laugh. I don't think there's any point that would like make you laugh. And it's not even like because they're moving. Oh shit. I don't think I think my objective perspective on how funny it was is not. I don't think I'm biased in the fact that I'm a believer. It's simply that it just wasn't funny.
It's extremely rare for me to enjoy an old movie, and that one was made in '73, right?
Yeah.
So it's just another bad old movie for me. I can't get into it.
Movies only
The
got good
acting's
after
bad.
2001.
Camera work's bad. Yeah, but it's just not mine.
Yeah, it's all handy cam. Like the whole time.
It all sucks.
Yeah, I didn't like it. It's like they were all high because they were hippies.
Yeah, they probably were.
Yeah. It's really hard to make the Bible funny. Actually, honestly, the Bible has so many funny
so
moments.
not true, dude. Yeah.
There's so
God
many.
is the king of
Yeah.
funny, dude.
God has a sense of humor,
Absolutely.
and man likes to twist that. So
Elijah taunting the 2,000 prophets of Baal
yeah,
before he slaughters them all.
yeah. You got to read the Old Testament, dude. It goes crazy. There's a talking donkey at one point. The Bible, in and of itself, has some insane funny moments.
You know about where the kids were mocking something and then
Oh, yeah.
the bears went after him and ate them?
That was Elisha. They were like, haha, bald guy. And then he was like, Lord send bears, and the Lord sent bears.
They're like, yeah, boom. Like, this is righteous. God figured it, so.
Or the foreskins. Don't forget the foreskins.
Yeah.
Was that David, right?
Yeah.
What he
But
had, like,
200
100 or something?
or 400 foreskins.
Saul asked him to get 100 Philistinian foreskins, and
What did you bring back?
back
1,000?
200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That rocks.
You want to go get foreskins with me?
I would like to get Denny's. Maybe. I'm going to have to see about my schedule here.
Okay.
I am
That's
hungry,
me
though.
again in 5 minutes.
You always want to go to Denny's when I have something to do stupid early the next morning.
Good. You should come to Denny's.
I'm not going to Denny's.
Dang it.
I have to do CQB tomorrow.
Do you think Jesus would have gone to Denny's?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Wait, did I do cut on the last one?
Yeah. You want to cut this one?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Jesus, for being a humorous God. Amen. Right, gentlemen?
Amen.
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 What's up, guys?
Subscribe.
Yes.
Thanks for watching that episode. I hope you really enjoyed. I know we had a fun time making it. Please, if you really want to support us on Patreon, you will be getting the episodes a week ahead of time. So it's definitely worthwhile, or not. Just support us, just support us, please.
We need money. You guys can find us on all the podcast platforms, hopefully, by this point.
You will.
You will.
You will.
So Spotify, Apple,
All of them.
I guess YouTube, but not really,
And YouTube.
And YouTube. So find us there. Enjoy it. And if you don't, I will find you.
He found me.
Yeah. Amen. All right.
I think that's kind of it.
Shit. Okay.
All right. Off to Denny's.
That's a damn good. Yeah.
I can't read my own handwriting.
Damn. good, dude?
Yeah, I'm trying to read. Can you read this?
Let me see.
All right.
Which part? It's like hieroglyphics, dude.
Yeah.